Hey, good morning. It's June 16th. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're visiting two fascinating chapters that offer a deep look into the reign of King Solomon. 1 Kings chapter 9 and 2 Chronicles chapter 8. Now at first glance, these chapters might seem to be a bit similar, and they are. They both cover some of the same subjects. But when we look a little closer, we'll find some really important nuances and additional insights that have been highlighted for us today. Let's start with 1 Kings chapter 9. This chapter opens with a truly significant event, God's second appearance to Solomon. Remember the first one? Well, that was when Solomon asked for wisdom. Here, God reiterates his covenant promise to Solomon, much like he did to David. He promised to establish Solomon's throne forever if Solomon walks with integrity and uprightness, just as David did. This is a huge deal, a conditional promise of an enduring kingdom. And in 1 Kings 9, 4 through 5, God also issues a strong warning. If Solomon and his descendants turn away and serve other gods, then God will cut Israel off from the land that he gave them. And the temple, as magnificent as it is, it'll become a heap of ruins. Now, this isn't just a gentle suggestion. It's a solemn warning about the consequences of disobedience. The chapter goes on in some detail about Solomon's building projects. The temple, his palace, the Milo, the wall of Jerusalem, and various other cities. I had to look up what a Milo was. I had no idea. But it was some sort of defensive structure for the city. It was possibly a place for a last stand or to shore up some vulnerable place along the city perimeter. But Solomon decided it needed attention. It also mentions his dealings with Hiram, king of Tyre, and included the gift of 20 cities in Galilee that Hiram wasn't too thrilled about. It appears that these cities had fallen short of Hiram's expectations. Now let's turn our attention to 2 Chronicles chapter 8. Right off the bat, you'll notice some similar themes. It also talks about Solomon's building projects, the temple, the palace, the fortified cities like Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. All of these were strategic and key locations. This confirms the vast scale of his kingdom's infrastructure and development. In 2 Chronicles 8, 4, and 6, it clarifies who's involved in these building projects. While 1 Kings mentioned the forced labor, 2 Chronicles explicitly states that it was non-Israelites, the descendants of the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Those who remained in the land that were not utterly destroyed by Israel. They were conscripted for forced labor. The Israelites themselves, well, they were the soldiers, the officers, the commanders, and the chariot officers. This distinction is significant because it highlighted the different aspects of Solomon's administration and his handling of the Canaanite population that remained. Another interesting detail about 2 Chronicles 8 is it mentions Solomon's bringing Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to a palace that he had made for her, because he said, "My wife must not live in the house of King David of Israel, because the places where the ark of the Lord has entered are holy." This shows us Solomon's understanding of holiness, and perhaps his attempt to separate the sacred from the secular, even in his own personal life. Both chapters also mention a far-off place called Ophir. How do we know it was a faraway place? Well, because it took ships to get there to bring back gold and all sorts of treasures. Once again, King Hiram supplies men who are acquainted with sailing, and they pair up with Solomon's men to make these voyages. So what are the key takeaways from comparing these two chapters? Well, God's conditional promise and warning. Both chapters point to this, but 1 Kings 9 directly addresses God's covenant with Solomon and the severe consequences of disobedience. Second, Solomon's extensive building programs. Both confirm massive scales of infrastructure and projects showcasing his wealth and power. The third are the details about the labor. 2 Chronicles 8, it gives the most specific details about the workforce and distinguishing between Israel and the non-Israelites, which sheds light on the social structure of Solomon's kingdom. Number 4, the emphasis on holiness. 2 Chronicles 8 uniquely highlights Solomon's decision regarding Pharaoh's daughter and his respect for the sanctity of the places the ark of the Lord had been. For me, 1 Kings 9 is key, and it focuses on the divine perspective, God's promise and his warnings. He clearly illustrates the condition and the nature of this covenant with Solomon. In essence, there are two promises that he made. First, if you and your descendants will keep my commandments, you will always have someone of your line on the throne. Second, if Solomon or his descendants turn to follow other gods, they'll be taken out of the land that was given to them, and the temple will become rubble. And in the weeks and months to come, we will read about the consequences that befall Israel. And in the readings to come, we'll see that both the northern and the southern kingdoms were removed to captivity, and the temple is destroyed. Solomon's eventual disobedience set the entire nation on a course of judgments, even though he himself would never see them firsthand. Just because we don't witness the consequences in our time, our actions can have grave consequences on those who come after us. Both of these chapters are vital for understanding the complexities of Solomon's reign and the unfolding history of Israel. So what stood out for you the most in these passages that we read today? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our next videos here at Set Sail on Grace Harbor. Have a blessed day.